What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Jar Jar Jargon. I'm Joe, and today we are talking about how and why Mara Jade should be made canon in Star Wars. Let's get into it. I think it's safe to say at this point that the Star Wars sequels gave us a Luke Skywalker that none of us were expecting. He was disgruntled, grumpy, he had lost all of his hope. This is not the Luke Skywalker hero that all of us had come to know through the original trilogy.
Maybe he's Jake Skywalker.
And many fans to this day, myself included, are still disappointed in that portrayal of Luke. But honestly, I think there's one thing that Disney still could do in order to fix Luke Skywalker's story, and that is bring in Mara Jade. There's been a long-standing debate about her on whether or not she should be canon ever since Disney bought Lucasfilm. All the same old arguments, George doesn't like her, Luke shouldn't have a wife, but I'm going to make a case for why she should be canon and how she possibly could be introduced in the current Mandoverse timeline.
Wait! I am not the creator of Mara Jade, and I want you to get out of this office right now.
The first and most obvious reason she should be made canon, though, is because we need some sort of catalyst for Luke to become who he is in The Last Jedi. I'm sorry, but just igniting your lightsaber and then turning it off on your nephew is not really enough reason to give up on your entire new Jedi Order that you were building and to turn your back on your lifelong friends and let them get killed in the process along with billions or trillions other in the galaxy. When you watch something like Return of the Jedi where Luke can still see good in his father, it just makes little to no sense on why he wouldn't have seen at least a glimpse of that in Ben. So we need something else there, and I really think that that is Mara Jade. And obviously, he doesn't need to marry her, but I think there can definitely be some sort of deep connection or deep relationship that he develops with her over time, and either he loses her or possibly she has to disappear for one reason or another. Possibly he even sees a dark side kind of vision when he's hovering over Ben, where maybe Ben is killing her in that vision and maybe he didn't know that prior. Now, of course, there's going to be the argument that you shouldn't create characters just to fridge them, and honestly, I agree, so I don't think she needs to die, but that would be more akin if they wanted to move along with the Legends type storyline, where yes, she did die to Han Solo's son in the Legends timeline, but I'm not sure if that's really necessary here, and I think the reason it's not necessary is because of Peridia. The introduction of this new galaxy now gives an out to this character if they do introduce her, perhaps even Luke sending her away there when he kind of senses the impending danger from Ben Solo. And to make things even more interesting, they could have a secret Skywalker child that she takes with her to Peridia, then continuing the Skywalker line, which I know some people are not a fan of because they love Rey, but honestly, I want to see the Skywalkers continued in some capacity, and that is the one way to give us a secret Skywalker child that is out there on Peridia right now, and maybe some point down the line will return to the core Star Wars galaxy. The loss of Mara and his potential child could possibly be enough for Luke to become the grumpy old man that we see in The Last Jedi. And seeing something along those lines would actually help me appreciate the sequels quite a bit more. Obviously, the whole Palpatine return thing is still going to be a little fishy, I think, no matter what happens. I didn't like it in Legends. I don't like it in canon, but it could help a lot with Luke's characterization, which has been one of the biggest talking points of the sequels ever since they came out. All that in mind, it still leaves one really important question, and that's how do we bring Mara Jade into canon? Obviously, they could go the Emperor's Hand route, as they did in the Legends continuity. It wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense, though, just because we don't really know of Palpatine ever having any kind of secret apprentices, but she could be maybe just a Force user assassin that worked for him. I think the more obvious answer, though, is that she was a former Inquisitor, or at least training to become an Inquisitor, possibly even one of the last Inquisitors during the waning days of the Empire. And when the Empire fell, she had to kind of go on the run, and that's where we see her kind of line up with Talon Card like we did in the EU. And maybe it's not Talon Card. Maybe Talon Card is being replaced by someone like Boba or Hondo, who kind of have those pirate/underworld ties. And that's why I think the perfect show to introduce her in is actually Star Wars Skeleton Crew. Now, for those of you that don't know, this show that's coming out probably early sometime next year is going to have a lot of ties to the kind of pirate underworld. That's from at least what we're hearing from leaks. We don't really know anything about any of the characters showing up in this show, and I think that is why this is the perfect opportunity to introduce her into canon there, give the fans at least a recognizable character in the show without going too heavy on the fan service with someone like Luke or the Mandalorian and Grogu. She could simply be introduced as working with one of the pirate groups, like I said, probably a Hondo, or even if they're gonna bring us Talon Card, obviously she's got to be working with him. That would be awesome to see. And I think it's just a way to say, okay, the character is out there, and now we can get the buildup of the relationship via literature and maybe even this Dave Filoni movie that's coming out. All that being said, though, I honestly probably don't think it's going to happen. This is wishful thinking. I think it's a way that they could fix Luke's characterization in the sequels. I really hope we do see something akin to it. I just don't want a character like Mara Jade to be replaced by another character, say Shin Hati. I would rather actually see the true Mara Jade in this story. But let me know what you guys think. Do you want to see Mara Jade in canon? Would you like to see her used to somehow help fix Luke's story? Or do you think she's just better off left in Legends for now? Leave a comment down below, guys. Please do hit like and subscribe. And once again, thanks for watching.
Lolo Banu Matafa.